What's happening, friends? Welcome back for another episode of Waynecast. You are listening to episode 65, and we are talking about questions you should ask your website designer before you hire them. So this is another solo podcast. Chris is on location. He's doing some very in-depth reporting in the field. I'm looking forward to hearing what he comes back with. So when you hire a web designer, there's a list of questions that you should ask. And the more that we've done web design, the more we realized how important that discovery and onboarding process is, because what you'll see is people will come to you and say, hey, I need a website. I need something to help me with my presence. And that's really where their why begins and ends. They don't really have a lot of thought into it. And we really encourage our clients to think about exactly why they need a website, exactly what the purpose is going to be for, how they would like their clients to use it, and what information they ought to glean from the pages that we build. So this is an article from Design Powers. I thought it was really, really well done, and it is really just 25 questions that you should ask. So I thought it'd be cool. I will read the question, and then I will respond how we respond when clients ask us these questions. And sure enough, all 25 questions we've been asked in one way or another. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first question deals with research, and it is, what kind of research will you do on our business? And the answer to that is a lot. We look at industries, we look at competitors, we look at advertising, we look at what other funnels your competitors might have, and we also do keyword research. So what keywords are going to be most effective? What are going to be the easier ones to rank for organically that still have a nice amount of traffic? And what are the more difficult keywords that we want to eventually get to that's going to take longer to build if we are maintaining this project long term? So the answer to that is really, we do a lot of research to ensure that everything that we're putting on the website matches what you want to convey for your business. Second question is, will you review my existing website prior to building my new website? Yes. And if someone tells you no, you should really just leave the meeting and don't waste any more of your time. We need to have a baseline. We need to see where you're currently at. We need to look at branding, coloring. Are you happy with all that? How's this current website working for you? All of that needs to be analyzed. If you have Google Analytics linked to it, we need to look at that. How well has that been performing? What are the most popular pages? What's your bounce rate? Where are we finding that people are stopping the search on your site? All of those questions, super important. It's important that we get answers to them. If you find somebody that says, hey, we don't really need to look at your old website, the chances are they're a rookie, move on. Number 3, what other services do you offer other than web design? So this is really 2 vital parts of Wayne Media. 1, we are a full service agency. So we would say, hey, we do social media, videography, podcasting, obviously, anything on the video, photo end. And we also do consulting. So we want to make sure that you have a clear roadmap, that this product that you're buying from us, this website that you're buying from us, fits into that roadmap and it's leveraged correctly. So that's really the first leg. And the second leg that's super important is everything is in-house. So I don't contract any work out, no Fiverr, no overseas crap. Everything is here. Not that work overseas is crap, but what I find with overseas companies in particular is that it's generally the lowest bidder wins, and they have the least amount of vested interest in making sure that your company is successful. So yes, you can go overseas and find quality work, no doubt. However, I find that when you are in the room with the individual, it works a lot better. So that's why everything is in-house. That's why everyone works for me. And it doesn't, it's not like, well, I'll get back to the contractor. I'm on their timeline. I can't tell them when to come to work. No, they're here, they're working, and they are in collaboration with me and with you as the client. Number 4, can you design a website that fits my budget? It depends. Our website base is $2,500. So if your budget is lower than $2,500, odds are we will not be able to build a website for you. And that's largely because of the amount of research, time, and energy that is spent on ensuring that that website is functional from an SEO perspective, from a design perspective. So we do have a floor when it comes to website pricing. And one thing that I've really learned in the last 2 years as a business owner is that I don't retrofit my pricing to a client's budget. Now, if they say, hey, I have $6,000, I think the website should be $8,000. yes, we can scale down, we can remove some pages, we can put some stuff on the roadmap for down, later on down the line. But ultimately it needs to make sense for us, needs to make sense for you. And I don't want you to, raise your budget $1,000 if you can't afford it and then be in a money hole that's going to sink the business in another way. Right. So we have an honest process with our pricing. We have a website calculator online. You can type in the number of pages and get a ballpark estimate of what I think the website is going to be. And Chris, who is our web developer, is a co-host on this show. He has done a phenomenal job of ensuring that every step of the website process is documented in that calculator. So you know exactly what the website is going to cost. And there are some variables, right? If you need some more coding or products integrated, it might be a little more, but that's generally the price that it's going to be. Question 5, do you work in-house or outsource your project? We've answered that. Everything is in-house. Question 6, will I have a project manager or one central contact? So at Wayne Media, the way that we light up projects is there is a project owner and then there's a team. Whoever the project owner is usually the person that the client will contact. So like at Speakeasy, we have 2 engineers here in Brighton, 2 in Louisville. And if, let's say Johnny's running a podcast, you're going to talk to Johnny. If there's creative that needs to be done, you might talk to that creative lead. On a website, if Chris is quarterbacking the website, I would prefer you to only speak with Chris. That is your website shaman that is going to guide you through everything that you need to know. And the more you talk to him, the better it's going to be. If you call me, just because I made the sale doesn't mean that I'm going to have full knowledge of everything that's going on with the website, largely because that's Chris's domain and it's his project. He owns that. That's why it's called the project owner. So yes, you will have a central contact that is the project owner. 7, what is your design process? So our design process is pretty unique. We want to make sure that, one, we get the inspiration from you. You have a vision for the website. You say, this is really the direction that I'm feeling. And if it's open-ended, if you say, I really don't have a vision, this is just kind of the goals I want to accomplish, we'll cast some vision. We'll do some sketches. We'll give you some inspiration sites. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this design? And from there, a design process will start to take shape. It'll be the same thing with the copywriting process. We make sure that the copy matches the brand and that everything is consistent throughout the site. We want the design and the copy to be consistent, and we want them to match. So that's a very 30,000-foot view of what our design process is. Question 8, how long will it take to complete my website design and development? So typically, our average is 30 to 60 days. E-commerce, you're probably looking 90 days. And then we've had some clients that just due to their busyness or not being able to turn things around back to us quicker, it can take longer. But the higher level of intensity you are with communication, the faster the site will get built. 30 to 60 days is our average. Number 9, what do you need from me before we start the project? So typically, if we're not doing the branding, if we're not doing the logo, if it's not like a startup, we'll need a branding kit. We'll need just some basic information about the business, kind of how you function, your X factor, and really just what makes you stand out. So that way, when we are writing copy, when we are organizing the site, we can customize it to fit who you are as an organization. And then we cover all of that during onboarding. There's an onboarding form that you fill out. We sit down and have an in-depth meeting about copy and just everything from the technical details of the domain to the bigger areas of service and how we want to present those. Number 10, should I provide written copy for the website? So there is 2 avenues for this. Sometimes people are very creative as a business owner and they want to write their own copy and hand it over to us just for copy review and we tweak it. The second option is we write the copy for you. That increases the cost of the website, of course. But when we do that, we look at it from an SEO perspective. We look at it from branding, and we make sure that everything is fitted to who you are as a company. And that's really the constant theme of this process. It matters who you are, what you say, how you want to relay yourself to the client. So everything on the website should be that first example. It should be that first impression of you as a business owner. Super important. Number 11, should I provide images for the website? And I would say yes. We don't want to use stock photography. We want to use things that Again, demonstrate who you are visually, whether it's video, photo. And that's why we have photographers on staff, videographers on staff, so that way we can go out and tell those stories and help you tell those stories. Or if you already have had that work done, you can hand that over to us and we can integrate that into the website. Number 12, do you have a portfolio I can see? So if you remember on, I think it was 3 episodes ago, we did an audit of all of the top 25 marketing companies in Michigan. And I believe less than 50% of them had a portfolio that people could see online. We have a portfolio. You go to our web design page, right below the calculator, you'll see 6 or 7 examples of our favorite websites that are all just diverse industries. Real estate, leather, construction, nonprofit. There's a lot of different variations on there, so you can get a gist of how we design and what our style is. Portfolios are super important. 13, which content management system do you use? So this is a CMS. So you're looking at, you could be WordPress, you could be Wix, you could be Webflow. We design all of our websites on Squarespace, largely because we can start with a blank slate and we can build it custom. There's no templates. It's really custom fit to who you are as a business. You can do that on any of the other platforms, but typically you're going to start with a template and modify it. We prefer just to build from the ground up, and Squarespace gives the client a lot of back-end functionality that WordPress doesn't have, or that's more difficult for the client to maintain. And Squarespace makes it super easy to transfer ownership of the website, so that way you own it, not us. 14, do you build custom sites or use templates? Talked about that in 13. We like to build custom. We don't like to build from templates. We've used templates before as a guidepost, or if a client says, hey, I really like this idea, but really we've gone away from that and we want to focus more on making things custom to that business rather than starting with something that might influence our design differently than what our initial intentions were. 15, are your website designs responsive? This is a mobile-friendly conversation. So when I look at the website on the phone, do I see, everything scaled properly? And if you don't have a web designer that understands desktop and mobile, you really need to look for a different designer. Squarespace does a really nice job of scaling things down. That being said, we do have to go through and do a mobile review. We write some CSS code to make sure icons scale appropriately or that nothing looks too out of place. But that's why you do a desktop review and you do a mobile review to make sure that everything fits appropriately, because over 50% of your web traffic is on mobile. Super important that you have a mobile-friendly website. Number 16, do you follow SEO best practices? Absolutely. SEO best practices would be, are you using, H1, H2, H3 body? Are you using meta tags? Are you using meta descriptions, page descriptions? Are you tagging up images? All of the things that are important for SEO on page, you should be doing when you're setting up the website rather than going back and doing it after the fact. That's why one of the initial questions of this was research. That's why that keyword research is so important, so you can integrate that into the website as you build it. So SEO, absolutely. 17, will you integrate my marketing strategies? Yes. So long as we have a roadmap of what those strategies ought to look like. We'll talk about landing pages. We'll talk about customer experience, whether it's offer codes, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that your marketing strategy is front and center on the website, or else it's going to be a waste of time and money. If it's not going to sell, if it's not going to convert, if it's not going to provide the information that you need, then it's really not doing much for you other than just hanging out and taking up space in the internet. So it's really important that marketing strategies are always integrated with a website, something that we do on every build. 18, how many pages will your website have? Our service is based around a 4-page starter kit, we'll call it. We like to see most small business websites should be at least 6 to 10 pages. That way there's enough content on there to differentiate for SEO. You have some landing pages, some FAQs, contact page, obviously you can tell your story, get that transparency angle in there. Really important to make sure that's all done, as well as a custom 404 page, which is like, hey, if someone types in the wrong URL, Are you giving them a custom page for them to say, oh, hey, here's what you may have meant. Check out some of these other tabs. All that's super important. 19, can you build an e-commerce website? Yes. Yes, we can. And we've done that several times, anything from 10 products up to 300. We've done some pretty giant e-commerce websites that have been, whether it's from a complex shipping needs, whether it's membership. We've done pretty much anything and everything on the e-commerce front. Number 20, how many rounds of edits and revisions are included? Now, in this article, it says for this company, Design Powers, which they're a dev house, they say 2 to 3 rounds of revisions. I really couldn't put a limit on it because I want to make sure someone's happy. I'm not going to be like, hey, you get 3 rounds and now you're unhappy, so now you can go away. We've done the 3 rounds. Really, it's unlimited rounds until you're happy. And if you're not happy, then we're going to keep doing it until you are. And if we hit this point where it's like, well, there's nothing that we can do that'll make you happy, then quite honestly, we probably should have done a better job vetting you as a client, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're communicative. And if we've done 15 rounds of revisions and neither side is happy, something has went terribly wrong. So it's super important that our clients are happy, that we get constructive feedback, and that we keep making progress with every revision. 21, one of my favorite questions. It's super simple. Is my website secure? Is there an SSL on the website? Yes. If you have a non-secure website, people are not going to want to enter information. Your credibility is going to drop. It drops you in your SEO efficacy. Websites are all secure at Wayne Media. Number 22, what training and support do you offer when the site is launched? So we have some training guides and also some stuff that Squarespace provides if someone wants to manage their own site. We also have a website retainer package that we can manage that for them. But we offer as much training as someone needs to get a handle on the website. Typically, it's 1 to 2 hours after the fact if someone wants to get spun up on it. And anytime they have questions, we can help refer them to Squarespace support or just send them over a couple guides or give them some examples of what we would do if they need some help. 23, do I own the site and its content? Yes, you own your websites. I take your website once the final payment has been made and we transfer it over to you. I don't want to own your site. You need to own your site. That way, it's under your domain, your house, your side. I don't want to have to be in a position where my credit card is on there, and then if I don't update it, the website bills, and then it fails, and then your website goes offline. You need to own your website, and at the end of the process, we transfer it over to you. 24, is my website ADA accessible? So the Americans with Disabilities Act was established to help make all spaces, both physical and virtual, available to people with disabilities. So there is ADA compliant plugins that you can use with your website, which we have access to. So if we need to do that, we certainly can. And it's a pretty important thing for most small businesses. That's a bigger and bigger thing that we're seeing rolling out more towards the end of last year, and certainly will be a big theme in 2022, is ensuring that all websites that are built with ADA compliance. And then the 25th question is really just, what's your overall feeling of us as a web design company? And that's where you really want to make sure that you have a good fit. There's a good rhythm between you and the developer. And, you might have a female centric company and you might say, hey, I want a female centric design team. Completely reasonable. You have to feel comfortable with the decisions that you make on the website design that you're going to put forth. And that's the biggest thing I look at in our relationships with our clients is there a rapport there? Is there a commonality and goal? And if so, then let's pull the trigger and get this thing done. And if not, that's completely fine too. But it's important that the relationship dynamic professionally is right than rushed. I don't want your money just so I can say, hey, I signed another website. I want to actually do a website that has purpose, meaning, and that we're both on the same page on, so to speak. So that is the 25 questions you should ask your web designer. I fully endorse this list. So if you're looking for a web designer, feel free to shoot those questions over to them. Have them answer them one by one. We're glad to answer any questions people have. One of the reasons I wanted to record this podcast, so if someone is looking for more information on our website info, I did 10 episodes on our web design process between episode 21 and 30. But this is a more, I think, a robust way of going about it, answering these 25 questions. So hats off to Design Powers for putting the list together. And if you have any other questions, waynemedia.com. You can take a look at our website calculator there. And we did 59 websites in 2021. And my hope this year is to do a little bit less, but bigger sites. So my goal is 48 for this year for the web team. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, we're off to a good start. I think we got 4 websites launched, and we're only on the 6th day of the month, 7th day of the month. So it's pretty crazy. So that's it, friends. Really appreciate you listening. Really, really important to vet the people that you have working for your company. And in one of the last episodes that I talked about making sure that you know who your associates are. That's your employees, your vendors, your clients. This would fall into that vendors category. Make sure you trust your vendors. Make sure you know them. Take the time to vet them. You won't regret it. That's it. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.